You've been lied to, not by anyone malicious, but by a system that taught you to believe people are fixed, circumstances are solid, and reality is something that happens to you. You've spent years trying to change situations from the outside, working harder, communicating better, hoping the right person or opportunity would finally show up and make everything click. And maybe some things improved, sure, but deep down, you know you're still playing the same exhausting game. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. You're not stuck because the world's against you. You're stuck because you're still operating in 3D, reacting to shadows on a screen, instead of realizing you're the projector. And the second you understand that everyone and everything in your life is you pushed out, reflecting back the assumptions you've been running on autopilot, the entire game changes. Not in 5 years. Not someday. Right now. Most people hear, "Everyone is you, pushed out," and think it's some fluffy self-help slogan, something to nod along to and forget by tomorrow. But this isn't theory, it's mechanics. It's the difference between someone who spends their whole life begging reality to cooperate and someone who operates in 5D, selecting timelines, shifting assumptions, and watching the external world rearrange itself like it's been waiting for permission. You don't need more hustle, more luck, or better circumstances. You need to stop treating people and situations like they're independent forces and start realizing they're mirrors. Your mirrors. And mirrors don't argue. They don't resist. They just reflect whatever you're consistently impressing upon them. The difficult boss, the distant partner, the lack in your bank account, they're not punishments or roadblocks. They're feedback loops, showing you the story you've been telling underneath the surface. Change the story, and the reflection has no choice but to follow. So here's the deal. If you're tired of hoping things will magically get better, if you're done with surface-level advice that leaves you right back where you started, then you're in the right place. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to learn how to shift from being a passive observer of your life to being the conscious operator of it. You'll understand why thoughts without feelings keep you stuck in the waiting room, how to stop feeding the old reality even when it's still staring you in the face, and most importantly, how to use relationships as the fastest proof that this actually works. This isn't about pretending everything's fine or faking positivity. It's about mastering the internal mechanics that 99% of people never even know exist. And once you do, you'll never look at your life the same way again. Let's dive in. Picture this. You're walking into the office, and there's that coworker, the one who always seems to have an attitude problem. You've tried everything, right? Being nice, keeping distance, even complaining to your friends about how difficult they are. But here's the thing most people miss. You're not actually dealing with them. You're dealing with your assumption of them. And that assumption is like a filter you've been wearing for so long you forgot it's even there. The moment you realize you can swap that filter for a new one, everything changes. It's not about manipulating people or faking positivity. It's about understanding that the version of them you meet every day is the one you've been unconsciously selecting all along. And yeah, that might sound wild at first, but stick with me, because once you get this, you'll never see relationships, opportunities, or obstacles the same way again. Now, let's get practical for a second. Think about one person in your life who drives you crazy. Maybe it's your boss, your partner, or even that neighbor who never says hi. What's the story you keep telling yourself about them? They're always critical. They don't respect me. They're impossible to please. That sentence, that internal script you've been running on repeat, is your assumption. And here's the kicker. Your nervous system believes it, your body braces for it, and guess what? The world reflects it right back to you. It's like you're walking around with a sign that says, "Prove me right," and life obliges every single time. The good news? You can write a new sentence. Today. Right now. Something like, "They're warming up to me," or "They see my value," or even just, "They're having a better day." It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be different from the old loop. This isn't about pretending or ignoring red flags. It's about recognizing that you've been operating from a fixed story, and fixed stories create fixed results. When you shift the assumption, you're essentially telling your subconscious, "Hey, we're selecting a different version of this person now." And your subconscious? It's a loyal assistant. It'll start filtering for evidence of that new version. You'll notice the softness in their tone you missed before, the moments they actually were cooperative, the times they smiled. It's not magic, it's selective attention meeting a new belief. So grab a piece of paper, write down that one person's name, and underneath it, craft your new assumption sentence. Make it present tense, make it feelable, and most importantly, make it something your body can start to believe. Because once you do, you're not just changing your mind, you're changing the entire playing field. There's this old metaphor that'll change how you approach everything. It's called the seal in wax. Imagine you've got a brass seal with an intricate design, and you press it into warm wax. The wax doesn't argue, doesn't analyze the pattern, doesn't wonder if it's ready to take the imprint. It just receives it, holds it, and hardens around it. That's exactly how your subconscious works with feelings. Thoughts are like hovering the seal above the wax. You're close, you're thinking about it, you're saying the words, but nothing's actually being imprinted. The feeling is the pressure, the actual contact that makes the mark. Most people spend years repeating affirmations, visualizing, journaling, and wondering why nothing's shifting. It's because they're operating in thought land, not feeling land. And thought without feeling is like trying to bake a cake by staring at the ingredients. It ain't gonna work. Here's a simple test you can run right now, and it'll show you exactly where you're at. Say your affirmation out loud, whatever it is. I'm financially free. I'm loved and valued. My business is thriving. Now pause. Close your eyes. Ask your body, do I feel this now? Is there a softness, a relief, a sense of yes in my chest or stomach? If the answer's no, if you feel tense, hopeful, or like you're reaching for something far away, then you're not imprinting. You're just thinking. And thinking creates more thinking, not results. The magic happens when you drop from your head into your body, when you stop trying to convince yourself and start letting yourself experience the reality as if it's already here. That's the difference between someone who manifests occasionally by accident and someone who operates in 5D consistently. One's pressing the seal, the other's just holding it in the air. So let's do a 60-second drill that'll flip this for you. Instead of saying, I will have financial freedom, or I'm going to feel loved, shift to the relief of it being done. Say, I'm so relieved it's handled. And then breathe. Slow, deep breaths. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Feel the exhale like a release of all that striving. Your body doesn't understand future tense. It only knows now. When you say, I will, your nervous system stays in waiting mode, in tension, in the gap. But when you say, I'm relieved it's done, and actually let yourself feel that relief, even for 10 seconds, you're imprinting the seal. You're telling your subconscious, this is the reality we're living in now. And once that wax hardens around the new imprint, your external world has no choice but to reorganize itself to match. It's not about faking it. It's about feeling it long enough for the subconscious to say, oh, okay, this is what we're doing now. Most people are running on autopilot, reacting to whatever life throws at them like a pinball bouncing between bumpers. But when you step into 5D operating, you're no longer the pinball. You're the one controlling the flippers, choosing which path the ball takes. There are 3 modes you need to master, and they're simpler than you think. First, there's the observer. That split second of space between something triggering you and your automatic reaction. It's that pause where you catch yourself before spiraling into the old story. Second, there's the chooser. The moment you consciously select which timeline you're stepping into by choosing the feeling that matches it. And third, there's the stabilizer. The part of you that holds the new imprint steady, even when the 3D world is still showing you old evidence. These 3 modes aren't mystical. They're practical tools. And once you know how to switch between them, you're operating from a completely different dimension than everyone around you. Think of it like a GPS in your car. You punch in your destination, and the GPS locks onto it. Now, let's say you miss a turn or hit traffic. Does the GPS freak out and say, forget it, we're going back home? Nope. It recalculates. It factors in the detour and keeps guiding you to the same destination. That's what the 5D operator does. The observer notices the wrong turn without panicking. The chooser reaffirms the destination by feeling the relief of already being there. The stabilizer keeps the coordinates locked in, even when the road looks nothing like what you expected. Most people abandon the destination the second they hit a red light. They see one setback, one person acting the old way, one bill in the mail, and they think, see, it's not working. But you're learning to keep the feeling destination pinned, no matter what the current scenery looks like. Because the GPS doesn't care about the scenery, it cares about the coordinates. Let's make this real. Say you're working on manifesting a loving relationship, and your person texts you something cold or distant. Old you would spiral. See, they don't care. Nothing's changing. I knew this wouldn't work. But the 5D operator? They hit pause. Observer. Notice the trigger without merging with it. Then consciously select the new timeline, chooser, by dropping into the feeling of being cherished and secure. And here's the key. They don't need the text to change right this second to feel that way. They hold the imprint, stabilizer, knowing the external is always playing catch-up to the internal. Within hours, days, or sometimes even minutes, that person shifts. Not because you controlled them, but because you stopped feeding the old assumption and started stabilizing in the new one. The 3 modes aren't steps you do once. They're a loop you practice until it becomes your default operating system. And once it does, you'll realize you've been living in a completely different reality than the one everyone else is stuck in. Let's talk about the traps that sabotage even the smartest people, because knowing the theory isn't enough if you keep stepping into the same holes. The first one's called the hope trap, and it's sneaky. You say your affirmations, you visualize, you feel good for a minute, but then you catch yourself thinking, I hope this works, or maybe next week it'll happen, or I can't wait until it finally shows up. Boom. You just pushed it back into the future. Hope sounds positive, but energetically, it's a confession that it's not here yet. And your subconscious takes that confession very seriously. Every time you place your desire in the future tense, you're telling your nervous system to keep waiting, to stay in lack, to remain in the gap. The fix? Kill the future verbs. Stop saying I will or it's coming, and start saying I'm relieved it's handled or I love how this turned out. Speak from the end, feel from the end, and watch how fast the future collapses into your now. The second trap is scorekeeping, and it's exhausting. You do your morning practice, you feel great, and then by 10 a.m., you're checking, did they text back? Did the money show up? Did anything change yet? By noon, you're checking again. By evening, you're convinced it's not working. Here's the truth. Every time you check the mirror, you're re-imprinting the old state. It's like planting a seed, digging it up every few hours to see if it sprouted, then wondering why nothing's growing. The 3D world is always on a delay. It's reflecting yesterday's state, last week's assumption, the version of you that you've already moved on from. But if you keep looking for proof before you've given the new imprint time to harden, you're just recycling the old reality on loop. The fix? Commit to a 24-hour no-check window. Do your practice, lock in the feeling, then go live your life. No obsessing, no monitoring, no, let me just peek real quick. Give your subconscious space to do its job without you micromanaging every second. The third trap, and this one's the killer, is the mixed imprint. You spend 2 minutes in the morning feeling certain, grateful, and locked into the new reality. Then you spend the next 22 hours worrying, doubting, venting to friends about how nothing's changed, and rehearsing worst-case scenarios. Guess which imprint wins? The one you fed the most. Your subconscious doesn't care about the quality of your 5-minute meditation if you're spending the rest of the day marinating in fear and frustration. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. The fix is simple but not easy. 2 daily feeling holds, morning and night, 90 seconds each. That's it. You don't need hours of visualization or complex rituals. You need 2 moments a day where you drop into the feeling of the wish fulfilled and let it saturate your body. Morning sets the tone. Night seals it in before sleep, when your subconscious is most receptive. Everything else, your thoughts, your worries, your spirals, starts to lose power because you're anchoring twice a day in the new state. And that anchoring, that's what shifts the entire trajectory. If you want to see this stuff work fast, start with relationships, because people are the most responsive mirrors you've got. There's a reason why every teacher, from Neville Goddard to Joseph Murphy, points students toward relationship shifts as the quickest proof of concept. Your partner, your parent, your kid, that friend who's been distant, they're not fixed personalities operating independently of you. They're reflections, and reflections change the second you change the angle of the light. I've seen people do a 7-day assumption practice and watch a cold, distant partner turn warm and affectionate seemingly overnight. Not because the partner decided to change, but because the person stopped feeding the old story and started stabilizing in a new one. And here's the kicker. The partner doesn't even know what happened. They just feel different around you, act different, and if you ask them why, they'd probably shrug and say, "I don't know, I just felt like it." That's the power of shifting the internal assumption. It bypasses logic, negotiation, and all the exhausting tactics people try in 3D. Let's make this practical. Right now, think of one person in your life, someone you want to experience differently. Maybe it's a partner who's been checked out, a parent who's critical, or a friend who's pulled away. Now, instead of listing all the ways they've hurt or disappointed you, write one sentence that describes their new identity in relation to you. Not what you hope they'll become, but what they already are in the reality you're selecting. Something like, "He's warm and consistent with me," or "She sees my value and treats me with respect," or "He's present and affectionate." Write it in present tense, keep it simple, and make sure it feels like something your body could believe if you gave it permission. This sentence is your new assumption, your new imprint, and for the next 7 days, this is the only story you're feeding. Here's your 7-day protocol, and it's stupidly simple but wildly effective. Every morning, spend 90 seconds feeling the reality of that new identity line. Not visualizing them being nice someday. Feeling the relief, the warmth, the ease of it already being true. Let your body soften into it. Then, during the day, when they trigger you or act the old way, pause. Take one breath. Silently restate the new identity once, just once, and let it go. You're not trying to convince yourself or force anything. You're just redirecting the imprint. At night, before bed, write one sentence of gratitude for evidence you'd see if this were already true. Not fake positivity, just, "I'm grateful he's so thoughtful," or "I love how easy things are between us now." Do this for 7 days without checking, without testing, without announcing it to them. And here's what'll blow your mind. By day 5 or 6, you'll start seeing micro shifts. A softer tone, an unexpected text, a moment of warmth you haven't felt in months. And by day 7, you'll have your proof that you were never dealing with a fixed person. You were dealing with a fixed assumption. All right, let's take everything you've learned and apply it to the bigger picture, your whole life. Most people try to micromanage every step of their manifestation, scripting out exactly how it has to unfold, who has to do what, when it has to happen, and that's exactly why they stay stuck. You're not the director of a play with a fixed script. You're the architect of an outcome, and outcomes can arrive through a million different paths. That's where the 2-scene method comes in, and it's one of the cleanest, most effective techniques you'll ever use. Instead of obsessing over the middle, you focus on 2 moments. The bridge moment and the end scene. The bridge moment is that first tangible piece of evidence that lets you know it's real. The phone call, the email, the conversation that confirms the shift. The end scene is you living in the fulfilled state. The moment where it's not just done, but fully embodied. These 2 scenes give your subconscious clear coordinates without strangling the infinite ways it can deliver. Let's say you're manifesting a new job. Your end scene might be you sitting at your new desk on your first day, coffee in hand, feeling that calm confidence of knowing you belong there. Or maybe it's even simpler, turning the key in your new apartment door, the one you could only afford because of this job. The bridge moment could be holding the offer letter in your hand, reading your name and the salary, feeling that surge of relief and validation. Or maybe it's the handshake with your new boss, their smile, the weight of the moment. You're not scripting every interview question or networking event. You're anchoring into these 2 sensory snapshots. Keep them short, keep them vivid, keep them repeatable. The more you rehearse them until your body says, "Oh, that," the faster your subconscious starts rearranging the pieces to make them inevitable. Here's another example. Let's say you're healing a relationship. Your bridge moment might be that first genuine laugh you share after weeks of tension, or the text where they say, "I miss you," and you can feel the walls coming down. Your end scene could be sitting across from them at dinner, the conversation flowing easy, no guardedness, just presence and warmth. You're not mapping out every conversation or apology. you're holding the emotional destination. And here's the secret. The more sensory detail you add, the more real it becomes to your nervous system. What does the laughter sound like? What's the temperature of the room? What's the feeling in your chest when you read that text? The subconscious doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one, it just knows imprint. So give it something rich to imprint on, rehearse it until it feels familiar instead of foreign, and then let it go. Let the universe, or your subconscious, or whatever you want to call it, handle the how. Your only job is to keep the destination locked in, and let the path unfold. So here's the real question. What are you going to do with all of this? Because let's be honest, you can watch 100 videos, read 1,000 books, and collect all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't actually apply it, nothing changes. You'll still be stuck in the same loops, dealing with the same difficult people, wondering why your life feels like it's on repeat. But you're different now. You've got the map. You understand the observer, the chooser, the stabilizer. You know how to imprint feelings instead of just thinking thoughts. You've seen how the two-scene method works, how relationships shift when you shift the assumption, how the 3D world is always playing catch-up to your internal state. The only thing standing between you and a completely different reality is whether or not you're willing to practice this. Not perfectly, not forever, just consistently enough for your subconscious to lock in the new coordinates. So what's it going to be? Are you going to stay in 3D, reacting to the mirror and hoping it changes? Or are you ready to step into 5D and start operating like the conscious creator you actually are? Here's what I want you to do right now. Pick one thing. One person, one situation, one area of your life where you've been stuck in the old story. Write down your new assumption sentence. Feel it for 90 seconds. Not tomorrow, not after you finish the laundry or check your phone, right now. Because the second you delay, you're telling your subconscious, maybe later. And it believes you. It always believes you. And if you're serious about this, if you actually want to see your life transform instead of just understanding the theory, then prove it to yourself in the next 7 days. Run the protocol, hold the imprint. Stop checking the mirror every 5 minutes. Let the subconscious do its job without you micromanaging it. And then come back here and tell me what shifted. Drop a comment. What area are you applying this to first? Relationships? Money? Career? Health? I want to know, because your breakthrough might be exactly what someone else needs to hear to finally take action. And if you found yourself nodding along, if something clicked while you were watching this, then do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. Because we're just getting started, and the next video is going to take this even deeper. You've got the tools now. Time to build something incredible.